Hello and welcome to Yoga with Carolynne. My name is Carolynne, and as always, it is such an honor to have you here. So in today's flow and stretch practice, we're going to start with a slow and strengthening flow and then end in a scrumptious and stretchy yin. This is my favorite way to practice. I love a good yin yang class. So this hip-focused, slow and stretchy class will be sure to leave you feeling balanced and nourished. And if you do end up really loving today's practice, stick around until the end because I've got a really exciting announcement for the spring equinox that is coming up. So put on your comfy clothes, roll out your yoga mat, and let's get started. Welcome to Yoga with Carolynne, teaching yoga students how to find more comfort and presence in life through the lessons of gentle hatha and yin yoga, no matter your shape or ability to touch your toes. Okay, so for today's practice, you are going to want a few blocks or a few heavy books for added support, and then a blanket is going to be helpful for today's practice. However, as always, if you don't have these props, don't fret, you can definitely still practice today's class. So we're going to be starting today on our backs, so please make your way onto your back. Once you do make your way onto your back, I'll ask that you bring a bend to your legs, bring the soles of the feet onto the mat, and then press into the feet just so you can lift the hips up just slightly so you can kind of lengthen your low back a little bit. So maybe tilting the pelvis a little bit so that then you can allow the low back to come down and feel a little bit more supported onto your mat. Your feet are nice and wide so then your knees can knock in towards each other. Really, really supportive for the low back, really grounding shape. Allow the arms to come wherever is comfortable. So either they come alongside the body with the palms open towards the sky. They can come up overhead if you're wanting to come into a gentle shoulder, upper back stretch. Or if you're feeling like for today you need a little bit more connection, more grounding, you can bring your hands palm face down onto your belly. Wherever you do arrive and settle, the eyes can come to a close, or you can just bring some softness to your gaze, softness to your face. As you use these first few moments of your practice to begin to cultivate the essence of balance. Finding that balance between do and be, the balance between strengthening and resting, the balance between striving towards something and allowing things to unfold. That breath of yours to lengthen and deepen and maybe slow down a little bit. Each inhale calling in your awareness to fall a little bit deeper into your practice. And every exhale allows anything that you don't need right now to fall away. A few more deep breaths just like that. If the eyes are closed, you can slowly open the eyes. So first, starting to bring movement into the arms, just to bring the arms out to either side. So if you're in a tiny space, you can create these cactus arms. So arms out to either side and then palms open towards the sky. As you bend into the elbows, the arms are in full contact with the floor. And then picking up into the legs to bring the knees in towards the chest just for a moment. And then allow that contact of low back into the mat that you've just found to really stay as it is. And then creating a 90-degree angle with your legs. So those knees are hugging in towards each other. And you've got the knees in line with the ankles. And the toes are reaching up towards the sky. And the knees are aligned with the hips. Use that breath that you've just begun to cultivate to take a deep inhale here. On the exhale, allow the knees to fall over towards the right. Inhale, bring the knees back into center. On the exhale, the knees fall towards the left. A few more times, inhaling, the knees come into center, and the exhale allows the knees to fall over towards the side. And the aim here is actually not to bring those knees all the way down towards the mat, but the aim is to actually keep hugging those knees in towards each other, no matter how low or how close the knees come towards the mat. Notice what happens when you connect into your center, into your belly here. Exploring a hugging in from either sides of your torso and a hugging in of the belly button in towards the spine. Notice how that changes how you show up in this shape and in this movement. The next time you find yourself with the knees in towards the center, hug your knees in, bringing the hands on either shin or either knee or behind each thigh. Create some circles in the ankles, point the toes, flex the toes to release in the feet. And then allow both of the soles of the feet to come onto the mat. So same position we started out in. You can do that adjustment of hips if your low back is not feeling in contact with the mat anymore. Pick up into the right foot, and then allow the right ankle to come onto the left knee. Flex into that right ankle. Picking up into both of your legs to grab hold of the back of the left thigh. Figure 4 pose. Notice if you need to adjust here in the upper back or in the back of the neck, so keeping the back of the neck nice and long. If you need to bring a cushion underneath of your head, you're more than welcome to. Let's take 3 deep breaths here together. Once you have taken those 3 deep breaths, releasing the leg from the hands, sole of the left foot comes back onto the mat, unhook that right ankle. Sole of the right foot comes onto the mat. Now to pick up into the left leg, right knee comes in contact with the left ankle. Pick up into your legs. Same thing as the other side. Grab hold of the back of the right thigh, flex that ankle to keep that left knee nice and safe. Adjust here if you need to soften anywhere, because this is a hip opener. So sometimes we tend to overcompensate by tightening in other spots in the body. And then take 3 deep breaths here. Once you have taken those 3 deep breaths, release the clasp of the hands on that right leg, sole of the right foot comes down, and then bring the left sole of the foot onto the mat. And then nice easy transition, just pick up into the hips and then slide the hips over towards the left as you roll onto the right side of the body. Right arm comes underneath of the head, bring the knees in nice and close. And then when you're ready, pressing yourself up to come into tabletop position, your hands and your knees. So this is where that blanket might be really helpful if you've got any sensitivity in your knees. Once you make your way into your tabletop position, let's take a few rounds of cat and cow pose. On the inhale, begin to tip the hips back. Allow the belly and the heart to shine down as you allow the gaze to come up towards the sky. Starting at the base of the spine, on the exhale, tip the tailbone. Spread the shoulder blades wide, tuck the chin in towards the chest. One more time, inhale. Exhale. Come back into stillness, find that length in your spine. Bring your attention to your belly as you hug the belly button up towards the spine. Ground down into that left knee. If you need to adjust to find your balance here, you can. And then pick up into that right knee to allow the right knee to come out towards the side. And then begin to circle into that right knee. Any popping or clicking that happens in the hip is a-okay. And then pausing in the center and then turning in the other direction. Beautiful. And then pause with that right knee out towards the side. Flex that foot, it'll help. Notice if you're kind of twerking or lifting that right hip a little bit more than you need to. Keep the hips level. If you need to really find stability a little bit more, bring the belly button in towards the spine. Breathe here, you're strengthening into the glutes, strengthening into the hips. Take one more inhale. Exhale, bring that right knee down. Let's do that on the other side. So that right knee stays grounded. And then bringing that left knee out toward the side and then circling into that hip. And then circling in the other direction. And then pause with that left knee out towards the side. Flex that left foot, adjust the hands, adjust the knee if you need to. Stay connected into your center as you breathe through any sort of wobbling or shaking that you might be feeling. You're strengthening here, my darling, before we stretch it out at the end of the practice. Take one more inhale here. Exhale, bring that left knee down. Beautiful work. That's one of the reasons I love yin yang, because the stretching that you do at the end of the practice almost makes all that hard work worth it. So we'll come into a downward facing dog here. So take a step forward with the hands, spread the fingers nice and wide. Curl the toes under to straighten the legs, send the hips up and back into your downward facing dog. Bend one knee, bend the other knee here. Shake the head to relax the neck. And then coming into stillness in your downward facing dog. You can have a really generous bend to the knees here. If downward dog is not your friend today, keep the knees down on the mat. This is just a transition pose here. So right away, we're gonna begin to walk the hands back towards the back of your yoga mat, coming into a forward fold at the back of the mat. Again, generous bend in the knees. Take as much of a wide stance as you need to here. Feet hip distance apart or a little bit wider. Let the back of the neck relax entirely here. And just breathe. If you've got your feet relatively wide, I'll ask that you bring your feet a little bit closer in towards each other, where you've got about 2 fists width of distance in between your feet. Spread the toes, lift the toes up, and then nice and slow, bring all 5 toes down towards the mat. Just really ground down into all 5 toes and into the heel. Take an inhale to come up into your half lift. So bring the hands onto the knees, onto the thighs. Softness in the knees to allow the crown of the head to reach towards the front of your space. So that, notice how the crown of the head, top of the head, if it reaches up towards the front of your space, the back of your neck has to lengthen. And then bring your attention to your tailbone, to your hips. Can you kind of press your hips back a little bit more? I wouldn't be able to see it, but you definitely would be able to feel the change. Now bring your attention to your center. Bring the belly button in towards the spine. Notice how maybe that changes. You don't have to rely so much on your hands. Keep pressing really energetically into those feet. Take one more inhale here. Exhale, come into your forward fold. We're gonna do that 2 more times with some variations on the arms. Come up halfway on your next inhale. This time, reach the arms back behind you. Fingertips are reaching towards the back of your space. Roll the shoulders back. Find that connection again into your belly and breathe. So notice if you're kind of sagging down or lifting up a little bit higher than you need to. So really nice flat back. Notice how you have to engage in the legs, engage in the belly here to keep yourself upright. Take one more inhale here. Exhale, find your forward fold. Beautiful work. One more time. Inhale, find your half lift. This time, reach the arms forward. Plug the shoulders down and away from the ears. And breathe. Notice if you're just kind of hanging out in this shape, or if it would help to connect into some muscles in the body that might help stabilize you a little bit more. Finding that balance between effort and softness. Take one more inhale here. Exhale, find your forward fold. Beautiful. Press into the feet to slowly inhale, coming up to standing, rolling up one vertebrae at a time. The head comes up last. Roll the shoulders back once you make your way upright into your Tadasana, your mountain shape. Bring the eyes to a close for just a moment here as you notice how your perspective, how your breath changes now that you're upright. Beautiful. If the eyes are closed, softly opening up into the eyes. You can stay exactly where you are here. I'm just gonna turn towards you. So you're in your mountain pose. Let's move with the breath. Take an inhale to reach the hands up towards the sky. Bring the palms together. I know I'm cutting myself out here. I'm in a tiny room, but bring the palms together. Then on the exhale, lift into that left knee. Hands come into heart center. I'm mirroring you here. Let's keep moving. Inhale, bring that foot down. Hands come up towards the sky. Exhale, hands come into heart center. Lift into that right knee. That's your movement. Let's do that a few more times. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. One last time on either side. Move with your breath, finding that length on the inhale, and then that hugging in on the exhale. Beautiful. Once you've done 2 rounds, let's come and meet with that left knee in towards you. We'll explore a little bit of balance here. So bring both hands onto that knee, flex into the foot. It'll help with keeping that knee up. And then I'm going to give you a couple of different options here in this balance shape. So either staying exactly as you are, or option 2 would be to keep the left hand on the left knee, right hand comes onto the right hip. Next option would be to open that knee out towards the side. Move slow. Last option would be to extend into that right hand. And then from wherever you are, we'll meet with both hands onto that knee. And then drop that foot down. Inhale, find that length, that stretch in the belly. Exhale, other side. Grab hold of that right knee with both hands. Roll the shoulders back, find that length in your spine and that pressing down into the floor of that left foot. Option 1 is right here. Maybe this is exactly where you're hanging out and that's perfect. Option 2 would be to bring the left hand on the left hip, right hand stays where it is. Option 3, move slow for this one if you're taking it, open that right knee out towards the side. Last option would be to extend into that left hand. From wherever you are, we'll meet with both hands onto that knee if you're not there already. And then on your inhale, bring that foot down. Take an inhale to reach the hands up towards the sky. Once you bring the hands towards each other, take one more inhale to lift up a little higher. And then on the exhale, tip towards the left, coming into half moon Ardha Chandrasana. You can keep both hands together, or you're more than welcome to bring the left hand onto the left hip. Another option would be to grab hold of that right wrist with the left hand to find a little bit more length. But the aim here, instead of reaching out toward the side, is actually to find length out of the soles of your feet. If you've got that bind, then release the bind. Inhale, come into center. Exhale over towards the other side. Option here is to keep the hands as they are, right hand on right hip, or grab hold of that wrist with the right hand. Beautiful. Inhale, come into center, find that length. And then on the exhale, tip forward and down. You're still at the back of your mat, tip forward and down. Take an inhale to come into your half lift, flat back. So we've been here already. We definitely know this one. And then on the exhale, find your forward fold. Beautiful. From your forward fold, walk the hands forward to come into your downward facing dog. From your downward facing dog, ground down into that left foot just to pick up into that right foot, to then step that right foot towards the front end of your yoga mat. You're in a high lunge here, so widen your stance if you need to here. Right knee is above right ankle, and then inhale to bring the hands up overhead, coming into your high lunge. Widen the stance here if you need to really find some balance. And then we'll find that side body stretch that we just found in the last shape. So grab hold of that left wrist with the right hand. Inhale to find length. Exhale, tipping over towards the right, finding that stretch in the left side of the body. Come back into center. Bring the hands down towards the mat. Step that right foot back to come into your downward facing dog. We'll come into that shape on the other side. Ground down into the right foot. Left foot comes up. Exhale, step that left foot up towards the front end of your mat. If it doesn't land there right away, all good. Use your left hand to bring it there. Find your stability. And then when you feel ready, inhale, reach up. Exhale, soften. Grabbing hold of the left wrist with the right hand. Nope. Grabbing hold of the right wrist with the left hand. Take an inhale to reach up. Exhale, tipping over towards the left. Inhale, come back into center. Exhale, hands come down. Beautiful work. Plant the hands down, step that left foot back. Now we'll begin to slow things down. From your downward facing dog, bring the knees down towards the mat. Send the hips back towards the heels, child's pose. Take as much space here as you need to with your knees to really create space for your body. Allow your exhales to really, really soften into the body. By focusing on lengthening into the exhales, that will help slow down the heart rate. Soothe into the nervous system. Getting your body ready for the slowness and softness of yin yoga. So really coming into that slow yin state of mind. I'll ask that this next transition be really encompassing that energy. So you'll transition into tabletop position, but take your time sliding the hands underneath the shoulders, pressing into the hands and knees to come up into your tabletop position. From your tabletop position, no fancy transition here. Simply bring the weight into the left knee to step that right foot forward. Now this is where, again, your blanket will be really helpful to come underneath of that left knee. But like I said at the beginning, if you don't have a blanket or if you don't have props, just folding over the left side of your yoga mat is going to be really helpful cushioning for that left knee. Blocks are going to be helpful here as well to raise the floor up a little bit in this low lunge. So this in the yin yoga practice is called dragon's pose. So this is a hip opener in case you hadn't realized yet. So we're really focusing on stretching out into the left hip flexors right in the front of your left hip. So adjust here as you need to with your blocks. And we're going to be here for a few moments, a few deep breaths. So notice if you can soften anywhere into the shoulders, into the face as you settle into the stillness of this shape. Really tap into that balancing energy of this practice. Life tends to be very quick, very busy, very fast and loud, where we do a lot, we're striving a lot, always creating new goals, new deadlines, new tasks. Notice what happens when you begin to implement a little bit of slow to balance out that fast. Giving yourself time to integrate, check in, and rest. Really smooth out those inhales and exhales. Taking your last inhale here. Your last exhale. And then slowly releasing out of the shape. You can start by straightening into that right leg, maybe taking a quick hamstring stretch. And then reaching that right leg back behind you. Take a second here just to pause. You can come into a downward facing dog, into a child's pose, maybe taking a few rounds of cat and cow pose. So really take a second to release. It's a big shape. Dragon pose is one of the stronger sensational poses in the yin yoga practice. And then when you're ready, we'll come into the shape on the other side. So stepping that left foot forward this time, right knee stays planted. Use your blocks to raise the floor up, or the hands can be on the floor. It's really just a matter of preference as far as how you want to hang out in this shape. But whatever shape you do choose, just making sure that you're avoiding any sort of hunching forward, rounding forward to the back, and that you're still maintaining openness across the heart, softness in the shoulders. Because you don't want to be focusing somewhere in a pose where you're doing awesome, really wonderful benefits, creating space, but then just creating more pain and tension in another spot in the body. So again, that balance. So once you've found that shape, we'll come into stillness and dragon pose. If your mind begins to wander when you come into these still, slow poses, remembering that you showed up to today's practice to do something for you, to do something for your physical body, for your heart and your mind. So bring your awareness back. getting curious about the sensations you might be feeling in the body, or how you can use that breath to change or soften or increase the sensations. Using that breath to soften and expand. And let's take one more deep breath together. Inhale. Exhale, release. And then releasing out of the shape, you can start by straightening into that left leg, sending the hips back, maybe taking a moment in that hamstring stretch. And then releasing out entirely of that shape. And then making your way onto your back. And if you've got your blocks might be helpful for the next shape. So keep your blocks nearby. Make your way onto your back. Again, stay within that slow energy. I know that I need the reminder probably just as much as you do. So we started out the practice with a twist. So we'll end the practice with a twist. So bringing that cactus or that T shape in the arms again. Bringing a bend to the legs, soles of the feet come onto the mat. And instead of engaging your way through this shape, we'll come into softening and stretching. Pressing into the soles of the feet to lift the hips up. Slide the hips over towards the left. Bring the hips down. Knees come in towards the chest, and then allow your knees to fall towards the right. The reason that I mentioned that blocks might be really helpful here is because sometimes it doesn't feel so comfortable for that top knee to be floating away from that bottom knee. So a block in between the knees is a really nice added support. If you don't have blocks, a pillow or literally anything, like a sweater, a scarf lying around. Making sure that your left shoulder blade is still in contact with the mat. The gaze can stay up towards the sky, or you can look towards the left extended hand. It's completely up to you. If you need any added encouragement to soften, you could take a nice big sigh, exhale at the mouth. Close the eyes if that feels okay. Breathe into the spots where you might benefit from some softness. Taking your last inhale here. Your last exhale. And then slowly making your way out of this side of the shape, coming back into center. Pick those hips up, slide them over towards the right, bring the hips down, and then allow your knees to fall over towards the left. Use that block if you'd like, bringing the block in between the knees. Just in any way here to make sure that the shape feels like a comfortable one. This is such a wonderful release for the low back, for the hips. Taking your last inhale, your last exhale, and then releasing out of the shape to come back into center. You can hug those knees in towards the chest one last time. Extending into the legs for just a moment here. Eyes closed, faces soft, body is fully supported. And then taking an inhale to stretch the arms up overhead, stretching from fingertips all the way down into the toes. Knees come in towards the chest, hug those knees in. Rocking from side to side to make your way onto the right side of the body, to then press yourself up into seated. Once you do, make your way upright, bring the hands into heart center, pressing the palms together, thumbs are pressing in towards the heart. Really intentionally ending your practice before you go on with the rest of your day. Choosing how you can bring a little bit more balance into your life. And then we'll take one last breath together. Inhale, nice and big. Out the mouth, exhale. And then opening up into the eyes. Thank you so much for joining me during this balancing flow and stretch yoga practice. If you really liked this balance of strengthening and stretch, then I've got a really special offering for you. The spring equinox is coming up. I've put together a really wonderful experience that involves a little bit of yoga, a little bit of journaling, a little bit of meditation. So stick around for this last little message from me to let you know all about Bloom, the spring equinox yoga experience. Hello, lovelies. So let's talk a little bit about what Bloom is. Bloom is your spring equinox yoga experience. So what is to be expected in this experience? There's a few different things that you can expect, and I've put my heart and soul in this experience. So the spring equinox is a wonderful time for inspiration, creation, and growth. It's also a magical time to begin to plant the seeds of dreams and intentions that you might have for the coming months of the year. So how do we do that? How will you find that throughout this experience? Well, there's about 4 aspects. 1, you will get a Bloom journal. So this is a workbook that I have put together where you will be gently guided through exercises and journal prompts to be able to tap into the whispers of your own heart and create what is called a sankalpa, which is Sanskrit for heart's intention. The second aspect will be where you begin to plant those seeds of your sankalpa through Yoga Nidra, which is a beautifully relaxing guided meditation practice that taps into the subconscious mind to be able to really help integrate that change. The third aspect is an at-home plant kit. So I've actually put together these really cute at-home plant kits of a flower that I have picked specifically for this experience. So as you see the seeds blossom and bloom, you will hopefully see those dreams and intentions blossom and bloom. The fourth aspect is a live virtual gathering. So on the spring equinox, we will gather together on Zoom to practice a wonderfully scrumptious and balancing yoga practice. It'll be a yin-yang practice. So if you are interested in this experience, I would be so honored to have you there and guide you through it all. Simply visit my website to check out all of the details, and I hope to see you there.